Hey guys, so I went to church today and I will be reading off of a bunch of verses and talking about what I did learn in church today. I know that I have not posted in a while. That's also because I had nothing really to post and I haven't been to church in a while because there's been a lot of birthdays and stuff that I had to go to, but now I'm trying to finally catch up and post more consistently, hopefully. So today in church we learned about hypocrisy and about the corruption of how much false prophets can twist the word and corrupt you and curse you, and how they can basically wear sheep's clothing and sheep's wool but be ravenous wolves underneath all of that wool, and they try to scam you just to get money and just to get a good reputation of being Christian, but they are not truly Christians. So there is a lot of verses in Matthew, so I'm just going to go to Matthew for this. So one of the first verses is 23:3, which I have a lot of verses in 23, so I'm just going to read off of all of the ones that I do have in 23. So 23:3 says, "All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do not, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not." So false prophets, they will sit there and they will talk mostly about themselves and about how God is forgiving and God can do all of that stuff for them, but when it actually comes down to it and the root of them, the thing is, Jesus is the only one who truly knows their true intentions and their true thought process, and that is why you have to look for signs. Is if that same person who goes to church on Sunday and everything posts on social media them at a party on that Saturday and stuff like that, you have to look for those signs of false prophets, false speech, because God will try to be with them, but they can mock God and they can hide behind sheep's clothing like a hypocrite, and they will say that God was forgiving towards them and stuff, and they will try to scam you by saying that, oh, God will forgive you, it's fine, you can keep doing that, or they will say, oh, what you're doing is bad and horrible, and they will put their sin completely lower than yours and say that God will forgive them, but that your sin is so horrible, and they will be hypocrites, they will be proud, and they will be uncaring. Another verse in Matthew is 23:23, which is right here. It says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone." Since they are hypocrites, since the false prophets are hypocrites, they will try to give law and judgment and mercy and faith, but not for others. They will give it all to themselves, but they will be a hypocrite towards you and your pathway with God. They will try to preach the word, but they don't actually truly know the word. Another verse is 5:37. Skip back a little bit. 5:37 says, "But let your communication be yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil." So if you truly don't want to be a false prophet, if you want to have a relationship with God, then you need to stick to that. If you say no to something, you stick to that. If you say yes to something, you stick to that with God, and you should not swear upon him or swear on him, even if you are going to stick to that, because we need to fully commit to him like we do with worldly things. And if we say that we're going to do something for God or for ourselves to help our relationship with God, we need to stick to that, because if you swear, that is false. That is just what like a false prophet is doing and being a liar. Now, this is one of my favorite verses, 23:26. Okay. Right here. "The blind Pharisee cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also." So, like I said earlier, Jesus is truly the only one who knows us, who truly knows our intentions, who knows if we are trying to actually have a relationship with God, and if we can fully obey him, and if we can go down that path. And he is the only one who can forgive us for our sins, and who can see if we truly feel sorry for them, if we are being held accountable for them. And it's basically describing that even if, imagine you have like the nicest looking cup. On the outside, it's like sleek, clean, nice. It's like modern and a very pretty cup, but on the inside you have mold and you have dirt and you have rocks and everything, and you cannot see it from the outside, but on the inside. Jesus is the only one who can see the inside of our cup, who can see the inside of our heart. He knows if we are a false prophet, and at the end of the day, at the end of eternity, when he comes back to take us to heaven, if there is people who were like, "Oh, but I did that for you," or "I built this church," or "I was a youth minister," or "I did ministry," or "I was a pastor," but truly he will know if you are scamming him, and he will know, and that will come to light. In the moment, you might not think that something will come to light, but Jesus knows your whole entire life, and they will be held accountable. Now, I'm gonna go to Matthew 23:37. Wait, did I already do that? No, I have not. Okay. "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and the stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathered her chickens under her wings, and ye would not." So Jesus talks about how he can keep continuing to try to gather people like a hen taking her little chicks under her wing, but how they will not. And some people might say, "Oh, well, Jesus hasn't encountered me, and I'm not Christian because like he's never like talked to me or anything." But he talks to you through everything. Even if you don't physically hear his voice. You can hear him through the Bible if you just open it up, and he gives you signs, and he will always try. But sometimes we ignore it, or we call it our gut, or we say that it's just our mind, when it's truly just Jesus trying to talk to us and help us to have eternal life. But if we try to spend our time on earth away from the Lord, what makes him think that we will want to spend it in eternity with him? And that is why you have to be careful, because if you say something, if you say yeah, and you do something so sinful, and then the next day you go to church and you haven't taken accountability for it, and you were like, you know what, it's fine. At the end, he is the only one that can truly see inside of your cup, and he will see, and he will rightfully judge, and he will rightfully state the law, which is, I do not know you. And if we want to try to slap a label on Christianity and create a toxic presence around it, that's not actually God. That's just greed and wanting different things from Christianity, whether it's you want to be liked more by a group of people, or you want money, or anything. We truly, at the end of it, he will hold us accountable for the sins that you may have never held yourself accountable for. And that is why if we spend even like couple minutes with him, he is so forgiving and appreciative. But you have to just give him that, because if you have a closet and you're like, one face of you is in the closet and then the other one is out there showing people different sides of you and stuff, but then you take just the one out of the closet to go to church, but then the next day you continue to act completely different towards like other people doing other activities. That is not truly what Christianity is. Christianity is living for God. Everything you do every day should be for God. When you eat, it should be for God, because he gave us the right to do that. When you walk or go on a run or look outside in the nature, we should worship God, because he made those trees, he made the ground, he made the road, he made everything. He made the sky, he made the snow, he made sand, he made the grass, he made everything. And when we take a drink of water, he gave us the right to do that. He gave us the right to be able to plant flowers, put our hair up and makeup on. He gave us the right to do everything. He gave us the right to phones. He gave us everything, and he is still so forgiving about everything. So we need to live for him, because if we only live for like 1 hour or 2 during worship for him, but then the rest of our life we're just off doing whatever we want and not truly living for God, then that is sinful, and you will be held accountable by him when the time comes. And I think that there's so much confusion between judgment, or righteously and rightfully trying to get you to obey God. And I think that this generation thinks that God is so strict, but truly when it comes down to it, it's like he is our Father. It's not like he's just a God up there. He is our Father, and he treats us like his children too. He treats us just like his children, because he wants us to do stuff not just for him, but also for ourselves, because he is so selfless, and whatever we do, he wants us to do it for us, to make us better. Everything he tells us it's not just rules, it's boundaries so that we will go down the right path. And I think we don't realize it, but if you truly look back and see how far you've come in everything, he does everything for us, and he is the only one who knows what he is truly doing for us. And we might not realize it in that moment, but everything is truly for us, and he is the most free that you can get once you truly get to know him. And I think that in this generation there's such a toxic bubble around Christianity because of certain people who label themselves as Christians, but that is not truly how God is. So whatever you do, do not be a false prophet, and try not to be the reason why someone slams the door and the idea about Christianity. Let's be the reason that they want to be Christian, want to go to church, want to explore God. And that doesn't just mean all forgiving, because cherry picking things out of the Bible is also not okay, and is also a sin too, because there is verses that says that he is all forgiving and loving and everything, but there's also verses that say that you cannot do certain stuff, and that he will righteously judge you, and he will give you consequences for your actions. But that still does not mean that he doesn't love you, because he still is forgiving as long as you take accountability. And not that we should take advantage of how forgiving he is, but we should realize how free he truly is.